Hey guys, Shane here, Flight Simmer. Welcome to another FSElite First Look video. Today we are stepping back in time and taking a look at one of the latest releases in the flight sim world from BlueSky FSS. It is the P-40 Warhawk. Now I will say this before we get into the nitty gritty of the first look. I'm no expert when it comes to a World War II era fighter tail draggers. Actually, this is the first time I've really been able to get in depth with one for many years, and for this one to be such high detail, it was a little bit of a challenge to get started. But as the more hours that you put into this aircraft, you will grow to love the P-40 Warhawk, and it is a sensational aircraft to fly. But I will say I'm no expert when it comes to these types of aircraft. But within saying that, as we take a look at the exterior, I will say the team at BlueSky FS have done a fantastic job with the modeling, also the textures and the detail of the exterior of the aircraft. It looks like you're pretty much standing next to it, using all the features and the PBR that has to do with Flight Sim World. I think they've done a fantastic job. The Warhawk comes packed with 6 liveries. 5 of those are authentic World War II liveries, and one is a modern day era livery. All the liveries take advantage of the BlueSky and the PBR 2.0 range system within Flight Sim World, so they do look immaculate in different types of weather. The exterior also includes all the different animations you would expect to normally see, such as cow flaps, flaps, gears, rudders, all that sort of good stuff. It all has been modeled too. So within saying that, I think it's time to jump in the cockpit and get this bird up in the air. Welcome to the cockpit, and the first thing you need to do, well in my opinion anyway, in any World War II aircraft is pull the canopy back. So we're going to go through the Flight Sim World checklist. This is compatible with the BlueSky P-40, and it's great that they were able to work that in. As we go through, you'll be able to pick up all the different sounds we have for each individual button and switch that has been modeled, which is really cool, and you'll be able to get a great sense of immersion feeling that you get from the detailed cockpit and from the high resolution textures that are being used within. So it is really cool. Having the checklist in there is a great way to bring you up to speed. I did find the manuals that come with the aircraft were very in-depth and easy to follow and read, so it was great to get started. As what my perspective before when it comes to the challenging part, that was actually learning to fly a tail dragger and taking off is where my challenges come from, but they're overcome now and it's great. So I will be quiet now, so please enjoy the rest of the startup and I'll talk to you soon. Now the Warhawk is all configured for taxi, so what you want to do to get the aircraft moving is basically put your RPM up between 1500 to 2000 just to get the aircraft moving. And with a tail dragger you want to be basically going from left to right so you can see where you're going. I've cheated a little bit this way because I've actually changed the view up a little higher, but I had a lot of trouble learning to taxi in this aircraft because I was going, like I am now, too quick. So if you taxi too quick, it's just going to be a little bit harder to for it to go the direction that you want to. So I found the sweet spot's about 1200 RPM. So once you've got the aircraft moving, if you keep it around about 1200, it will taxi the way that you actually need it to. So all that information is in the manuals that are provided, which are in great detail. So upon some research to figure out where I wanted to fly and do this video in the Warhawk, I actually found out in Australia we actually had a version of the P-40 squadron in Darwin, and that was there to defend the north part of Australia back in the day. I don't know too much detail on it, so I thought I would do this flight here in Darwin to showcase the P-40 for this video. So we're just coming up to our last corner that we need to taxi, so we'll basically be going left and right down here. Well, too much, just to see where we're going. I'm probably going to drop a wheel on the grass here, but to save on time we'll just skip a little bit and we'll get the Warhawk configured for takeoff, and we'll get this bird in the air. So the Warhawk is all configured for takeoff. We're just going to nudge the throttle so we can get the aircraft to start moving, but not too much so it gets out of control as we line up on the runway. Now I will say this is the most challenging part of the Warhawk, I believe, is the takeoff. Now because the aircraft has so much torque, you don't want to slap the throttle down because it will just push to the right and you'll lose control. You've got to gradually increase the speed, and because it's a tail dragger, which is different to any GA aircraft, you've got to push the nose down to bring the tail up before you pull the yoke back to take off. So, and that was something for me that I had to take a lot of time getting grips of. So I'm just increasing the RPM up to 25. Now I pretty much do this until I get the speed above 60, and then I'll increase it some more, but I'll be quiet now so you guys can listen to the takeoff. So that was a very interesting takeoff. The trim wheel was out of whack, so I'm just adjusting it now. That's why the aircraft's porpoising around. But when I went to lift the tail wheel off the back, the aircraft nearly nosedived into the ground. So need to make sure your trim wheel is set, or else you can end up smacking your prop into the tarmac of the runway nearly like I just did. But hopefully that gives you an indication of how challenging the takeoffs can be, and it's quite fun, really. I really enjoy it now that I can actually get the aircraft in the air, but it was challenging to learn it anyway. So we're making a left-hand turn here over the airport, and we're going to fly up to an area where I'm going to try to do some maneuvers. Now I've got really no aerobatic experience in flight sim. We don't do that sort of stuff, but we're going to give it a try. So we've been saying that we'll have a look at the outside of the aircraft as we get to that area. So talk to you soon. Welcome back to the cockpit of the P-40 Warhawk. Doesn't she look absolutely stunning on the exterior in the air? Very beautiful aircraft. So we're just making a left-hand turn, bit of a clearing turn, so to speak, back to the airport before we're going to do a couple of barrel rolls. I will say this: once you get this aircraft trimmed and you get your throttles right, it is fantastic to fly around. Basically it points where you need to go, so it's pretty fun to fly. And one thing I will say, you may be able to hear in the background when I'm not talking, but you can hear the pilot actually breathing, which is a really nice sense of touch of immersion feeling in the aircraft. But like I said before, my aerobatic skills aren't the best, so I think a couple of barrel rolls are going to be the maximum that we're gonna do today. So we're just gonna straighten up here, and I can see the airport in sight, and then we'll see how we go for these barrel rolls. Whoa, that was interesting. I wasn't expecting the fuel in the wings to play so much of a factor when it comes to the barrel roll. So that was very interesting and nicely modeled. So we've been saying that. Let's do another one. That is absolutely insane. As you can see, my barrel roll skills aren't up to the next pilot, but we've been saying that. I think we'll do one more. So pitch it up, we'll flick it around. Oh, would love to do this in VR. How insane. So absolutely fun to fly this aircraft. So very, very, very cool. We've been saying that before I actually kill myself. We're going to pitch the aircraft down and we'll make a go for a landing back at the airport. Welcome back to the cockpit. We've lined up on final for landing. I will say this: please make sure if you pick up this aircraft, go and read the manual, because you'll find that takeoffs and landings are very challenging, and the manual will go a long way to help you understand how to do the landing and takeoff in the Warhawk. So we've been saying that. I'll come back to you just as we touch down. Well, that was an interesting landing. A little bit of a bounce, but that's okay. Anything I can walk away from, I am happy. And I tell you what, I've done worse when learning how to fly this aircraft. So, my final thoughts on the BlueSky FS P-40 Warhawk in Flight Sim W is it is a sensational remake of the Warhawk. The guys have done a phenomenal job, and I've really enjoyed flying this aircraft, and it is a real challenge. So I think it's a good fit for the second third-party aircraft within Flight Sim W. Although being a World War II aircraft and a tail dragger, it's not going to suit everybody's needs. But if this something interests you, I'm sure if you pick it up, you'll have a lot of fun. So we've been saying that on behalf of FSElite and myself, Oz Flight Simmer. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.